So I had a lot of people in response to my Bladefall Blade Blast video guide ask, what is the best way to level the build? I put a little description about it and mentioned a bit on Reddit about how to go about leveling this build, but I thought it might be better to just make a short video explaining not just how to level Bladefall Blade Blast, but really how to level any spell build in 3.11. So what I have here in my inventory is all of the items that we're going to be using for the leveling process with the gems pre-socketed into them. And I'll put each item on, I'll explain what its function is in the build and how everything works together to create really one of the smoothest leveling processes you can have in Path of Exile. First, for the rings and jewelry, we'll go with a Blackheart Iron Ring. This gives us life as well as 5% increased global physical damage, which if you're doing Bladefall Blade Blast will increase your damage. We use a Praxis Ring. This gives us minus to the total mana cost of skills, as well as some of the mana we will gain back when we are hit. Then a Crew Reward. This gives us increased projectile speed for Bladefall, additional movement speed, as well as Dex and Strength, which we'll need for our primary skill gems, as well as one of the supports. Then a Gold Rim Leather Cap. This is for resistances. We go with the Magnet Studded Belt because it gives us a lot of strength, which we'll need, as well as increased global physical damage for Bladefall and Blade Blast. And the Flask Charges Gained mod here is really nice for refilling those Quicksilver Flasks when leveling. Then we have a pair of Wanderlust Wool Shoes for the movement speed and cannot be frozen. A pair of Loctinal Caress Iron Gauntlets for the attack speed and life, as well as the chance to gain these various charges on kill. We have a Tabula, or realistically any 4 or 5 linked chest piece that you can get your hands on while leveling. And then finally, a Poet's Pen. Now the Poet's Pen is not necessary to this leveling. It does add a lot of damage. It also makes the leveling process a lot smoother. Of course, if this was League Start, realistically you're not going to have access to a Poet's Pen, but if you're leveling this build mid-league and you have a bit of currency, I believe you can get Poet's Pens for anywhere between 15 and 25C now, so it's not that expensive, and it's something that you can use maybe for the next character you level as well. So to sort of explain the way this leveling process works, I'll start with the gems. For anyone that doesn't know, we're going to be using Spellslinger, and what that does is it gets linked to our main damage dealing abilities. It then reserves a portion of mana based on the mana cost of the supports it's linked to, and then anytime we attack, whether it be with a default attack, barrage, or frenzy, it's going to automatically trigger the primary skill that's linked to Spellslinger. So to give you an example, we have here 2 Spellslinger setups. So when we press them from our hotbar, you'll see that it reserves our mana, and then when we attack, it automatically triggers the spells. So to go over each Spellslinger setup, we have one Spellslinger setup that is connected to Bladefall, Concentrated Effect Support, and Spell Cascade. And then we have one Spellslinger that's connected to Blade Blast, Increased Critical Strike Support, Energy Leech Support, Intensify Support, and Brutality Support. And of course, you'll add these gems in as they become available to you throughout the leveling process. The Poet's Pen has a second Bladefall setup in it, which is Bladefall, Spell Cascade Support, and Concentrated Effect Support. So to sort of show you the difference between having the Poet's Pen and not having the Poet's Pen, this is what it looks like when we have the Poet's Pen. It triggers quite a lot of blades for our Blade Blast to then detonate. If we say remove that setup and put in a different wand, you'll see that there's a lot less blades generated, and so there isn't as much Blade Blast going on if you don't have the Poet's Pen. You can still level that way, it still works really well, but I do think the Poet's Pen really adds an extra spiciness to the leveling that you're not going to get if you just use a regular rare wand. And of course, you do lose out on some of the modifiers you would get from a rare, like maybe additional spell damage or some flat added damage, but the almost doubling of the amount of blades that we can leave on the ground and the additional blasts that we can then create more than makes up for any loss that occurs there. So realistically speaking, you could do this for any spell. If you're doing a chaos build, you could use spellslinger setups in a poet's pen with soul rend, ED, and contagion. If you were doing lightning, you could use arc, ball lightning, and wave of conviction. And really it applies for any sort of archetype spell that you might be leveling. In terms of how to trigger the spellslinger, my recommendation is barrage. There's been a lot of videos by other content creators demonstrating that if you use frenzy or the default attack, for whatever reason, it doesn't trigger multiple spellslinger setups at the same time. You have to attack more than once. When you use barrage, for whatever reason, because of the way barrage works by sending out multiple projectiles, it does trigger both of the spells at the same time. It makes the leveling process a lot smoother. So I know you might be tempted to want to use frenzy for the frenzy charges or to support frenzy with barrage support, but if you do that, you're either going to be missing out on some of your spell casts, or if you use barrage support, you're going to have an issue where it causes you, it takes longer to actually attack because it adds attack time per projectile. So realistically, you just want to go with barrage and faster attack supports and not really worry about anything else. So that's really it. That's the whole setup. We don't use any auras because we have to reserve so much of our mana for Spellslinger, and you pretty much maintain this leveling until you get to probably around level 68 or 70, and you can start equipping those endgame items, getting the cast speed from your Ascendancy, as well as on some pieces of gear and from other notable places on the tree. So that's it for this leveling guide. If you have any questions about the setup or other possibilities, or if you have anything to add to this concept, go ahead and leave a comment below and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks.